Welcome back, everyone, for a very special broadcast right here on the main KBS channel. Yes, we reserve this channel for very special occasions, and today is certainly one of those occasions. I'm so glad you could all make it here for what I think is going to be an absolutely brilliant conversation with a good friend of mine. His name is Chris Anatra. Most of you will probably know him as the quantum businessman. He's somebody that continues to blow my mind as he really starts to uncover and piece together exactly what is going on when it comes to the world of Mandela effects. What a brilliant time to be speaking to Chris, just on the cusp of the 2020 International Mandela Effects Conference. So without any further ado, you ain't here to listen to me today. Let's go to the man himself. It's Chris. How you doing, brother?
I am doing good, Kev. Nice to talk to you again.
Well, it's great to talk to you. You've kind of frozen up on the camera there, but that's okay because we can hear you loud and clear. Talk to me, Chris. What's going on with this conference that is taking place in the next week that I believe it's going on for?
Yeah, we've been planning this for a while, and we've had a couple of date changes. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. I can't see you. How about you try and start your camera again, Chris? That might kick it in.
Okay.
Hopefully anyway. We'll try and see if that works. I'll try and reconnect. I'll try and call you again. That's what I'll do, brother, okay?
Okay, that sounds good.
Here we go.
That sounds good.
That's what we'll do, folks. Give me 2 seconds. So yes, we've got Chris here with us. And as is very typical when we go to talk about this subject with Chris, we do seem to get problems. Remember the first time he came on the show as well, we had these issues. Hopefully we'll be okay today. But that ain't looking good, right? Okay, we'll give it a moment, folks. We'll give it a little moment. And what we will do, in fact, we won't do that yet because I need Chris to build it up. But I'll give a few of you a shout out in the chat room there. I see Rose. I see Karen. I see Nace is in there. Tiffany, Armand, Jose Ramon. Nothing as it seems. I'm going to try and call back now. We'll try Chris again. Stand by, folks. Here we go. There he is. It's the man himself. Is he on camera? There he goes. How you doing, man? It's good to have you back. There we go. We can...
Yeah.
No, now it's froze again.
That's really interesting.
Well, you know what, Chris? As long as I can hear you, brother, that would be the main thing, right? So how about we go for that and you tell us where you are and what you're getting set for, because this is going to be a big week for anyone that's into Mandela effects, isn't it?
Yes, it's the big International Mandela Effect Conference. And we've had a couple of date changes. You know, there was all kinds of situation with having live conferences, et cetera. But it finally starts this Saturday on June 20th, and it goes for 6 days. Right up until Friday, June 26th. So there's a lot of information that's going to be coming out.
Now, one thing that has really impressed me, in fact, to the point where I had to actually verify this with you before the show, in this day and age, especially on the internet, and more so in alternative media these days, for whatever reason, usually you get nothing for nothing in this game. But you were telling me that people can watch the Mandela Effects Conference for absolutely nothing. Tell them all about it, Chris. How can they tune into this really special event?
Yeah, we're going to be live streaming it on YouTube, and there's going to be some panel discussions as well. But yeah, the purpose of our organization is to raise awareness about the Mandela effect. It is not it's The purpose has nothing to do with making money or generating any kind of income. Originally, when we were going to hold it in Connecticut, there was going to be a fee, but it was only going to be to cover food because we didn't want people to have to keep leaving to get food for themselves. So yeah, so we're all very passionate about talking about the Mandela effect and bringing it to people's attention. And of course, what we're doing online, there's not going to be any kind of fee for that.
So, Chris, tell us some of the speakers that people can expect to hear during this conference.
Yeah, so we are going to have all of the speakers that were in the Ketchum event, Ketchum, Idaho in 2019. And we've got about 5 or 6 new speakers. I would probably say the highlight is Regina Meredith. She is one of the founders of Gaia TV. A lot of people are familiar with that. And she's going to be our keynote speaker, and she'll be kicking things off for us when we officially start. I believe the start time is at 2 p.m. on Saturday, but we're actually going to be starting a little bit earlier, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to start airing interviews that we've done leading up, that were pre-recorded leading up to the conference start.
Okay, so anyone outside of the US, that will be over here in the UK, 4 p.m. It'll be, let me see now. Is that 8 a.m. on the West Coast, Chris, that you're planning on kicking off then if it's 11 in the morning?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, cool. And all the way down under for our friends down under, that will be, if it is 11 o'clock in the morning and 4 over here, it's going to be about midnight, just about around midnight in Australia going into Sunday. And I struggle to keep up with all of these time zones, Chris. I really, really do. But you yourself on your channel, The Quantum Businessman, we've been following that, myself and the subscribers here. We love what you're doing. I love the fact that you're really bringing a big kind of scientific approach to something that has had so many people confused as to what's going on, what's causing it. And like I say, you, in my opinion, are doing some of the most scientific research into this. And you really have got caught up in all of this because you've got a video coming out on Sunday. And I'm going to let you kind of explain to the audience how this came about, what it's about, and the little I do know, I've seen the trailer. This sounds mind-blowing, Chris. I'm going to be listening as intently to the audience here. So talk to us about something you're calling the Moon Angel.
Yeah, the whole Moon Angel video was something that I didn't have planned. It came about from my developing my presentation about timeline paradoxes, which is my presentation for the IMEC 2020. I believe that's going on Tuesday of next week. But so I was doing all this research about NASA and space shuttle and rocket launches and all that kind of stuff. And I started to have these like really interesting events start to happen to me. I'll just tell you one of them. So one of the evenings after I was doing all of this research, I was at my house. I was in my bedroom. I looked at the time, and it happened to be 11:11. The angel hours. That should have given me a clue. And I usually put my phone in another room when I sleep because I don't want it to sleep next to my phone. And all of a sudden, from the other room, I heard my phone went off, and it started playing a video. And it was from Purdue University presents the Gus Grissom story. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what is this? So I go in there and it's like playing this thing about this astronaut named Gus Grissom. So that was my first clue that something strange was going on. And then things began to develop from that point forward. And it allowed me to put together information that's very, it might be troubling to some people, but it's also I think it's going to be very enlightening or consciousness expanding, I should say.
That is very much the impression that comes across in your short trailer that you've put together. And if I may, and you think this is the right time, Chris, we'll play that trailer for the audience. But I need to inform anyone watching this after the live event please head on over to Chris's channel, The Quantum Businessman, to watch the upcoming trailer that we're about to watch here. And the only reason that it's not going to be in the final cut after the live stream finishes is because of the YouTube algorithm and something called the duplication glitch. Remember I got caught up with that before, ladies and gents? Yes. Unfortunately, although Chris is here, Chris is quite blatantly the copyright holder of the information we're about to show. The algorithm hasn't quite figured that out yet, so it's still a bit rough around the edges. And without any further ado, then let's head on over here and take a look at the Moon Angel. Here we go. Absolutely, and I am intrigued. Absolutely intrigued. Now, I don't know how much you can give away here, Chris, how much you want to give away. But this whole NASA connection to things, there's been a big story, a kind of running narrative along with that disaster that I certainly remember playing out when I was growing up. And I would imagine, because we haven't talked off air about this really, I mean, I would imagine it ties into some of that. But I'll get you to say what you want to say about this without giving too much away, brother.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what angle you want to.
Yeah,
I'll talk about.
even just any kind of teasers of what we might come across in this video.
Okay, I would say a lot of it is going with the theme of the IMEC event, which is revelations. So, revelations is when the truth gets exposed, and we know that the truth can be vicious, the truth can hurt, and when things become unveiled, we're going to have to use our critical thinking abilities and be able to see if whatever we're hearing and learning about resonates with us. So for me, what I discovered in my communications with Gus Grissom was a revelation for me, because it exposed something that I never, like, my mind would not even let me go there. I just totally would reject it. So I won't say exactly what that is, but it was a revelation for me. And the way I present it in the video, I make it so that, you can draw your own conclusions, but you'll kind of understand. It's one of those things where you have to watch the complete video. Then you'll be like, oh my goodness, now that this information is presented this way, now if I might have had a certain view about a certain event, for example, now I might change my mind and be like, well, maybe something else actually happened.
Yeah, I kind of, I think I know where the direction of this is going to go, and I'm super excited to see how you kind of pin all this together. And the way you lay things out, Chris, I'm not just blowing smoke up your tuchus. Like I said to you the first time I had you on the show, I've been very, very impressed by the way that you approach this. And everyone's got their own journey to where we get to in this specific moment. But the way that you are looking at this and tackling it, it's so fresh. It's really different to the way that most people cover the Mandela effects. And I can only speak about myself. And in the past, I've treated it very much like a kind of almost like a parlor game, to say the least. Sometimes laughing about it, some people get the Mandelas, some people don't. And it's a very personal thing. I compare it to deja vu. We never mock anyone who claims to have a deja vu, and I never mock anyone who claims to have a Mandela effect. But to this day, and I'm hoping you're going to be able to be the man that puts it all together, the science behind what's going on there, it's always puzzled me. And as a guy who likes science, I like to see the nuts and bolts. I like to see the kind of process, or at least have an idea of the concept of what's going on. And that's why I urge all of the listeners on my channel, on my show, anyone who watches this, not just to check out the video coming up on Sunday, but if you haven't taken the time, go back and look at all of Chris's work. You have to really go back to the moment that Chris had his eureka moment, his aha moment, and follow it from there. And I'm terribly excited about seeing where it all leads to, but at the same time I'm quite apprehensive, because This is some heavy information, I would imagine, that's going to be in this video that's about to come out. And it might not sit comfortably with everyone. However, the truth is the truth, and it has a very mysterious way of coming to the surface, especially at this time, Chris, right?
Yeah, especially at this time. And for example, Father's Day, June 21st, is a pretty important date because it marks the beginning of the summer solstice. There's a annular solar eclipse, a ring of fire eclipse on January 21st. There's been new information coming out that it's the actual true date when the Mayan calendar ended. Instead of 2012, it should have been June 21st, 2020. So that's interesting. Something I just heard about, and the evidence for it seems to be pretty strong. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the universe. That's for sure.
So what do you make of that whole changing of the Mayan 2012 date? I've been kind of cautiously following this one as well. How much weight do you put behind it, Chris? Are you quite impressed with how this research has got to this date?
I'm going to tell you on June 22nd, I'll tell you how much weight I have.
Good man, good man.
But it seems to be pretty strong because it takes out errors from the Gregorian calendar, and replaces it with a more truer yearly amount of days. So the evidence, I can't speak as an expert at all, but the evidence that I saw laid out seems pretty strong, but we'll see.
And Chris, you kind of talk about the holographic nature of reality, and I don't know, I've been having some really kind of deep, reflecting kind of thoughts recently about my role in the alternative media. We like to think that we're raising people's consciousness, we're showing them things that they might not have known before. But there's a flip side to that, brother, right? And with the holographic nature of reality and AI and algorithms playing more and more a part in our everyday life, you know, that researching things, the stuff that we come across and the stuff that we are revealing, there's almost a part inside of me now, a little voice saying that everything that we think we organically find, it's not as organic as we think. And if it's out there, and we're able to find it in the first place, there's part of me wondering, and I don't even know if you can help me with this, but there's part of me wondering if we are almost unconsciously, subconsciously steered towards everything that we think we're finding organically. And if that's the case, then why is it all of this information has been left for us in the first place? And why is it that we're now feeling the need to put it out there, to show people all of it? It's kind of weird. I don't know if it even makes sense to you, but the way that your story came to you with Gus Grisham and things, I don't know, it's just, at the same time, I've been thinking about our whole role in this game, because I look at life very much like a game, and that's not to take away the serious aspects of it.
Right.
The real stuff is very real. It's a real world game. But in the end of the day, it's still a game, Chris, right?
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that because in my presentation for timeline paradoxes, I cover some of those points, and I liken the experience to the biggest multi-user role-playing simulation game in the universe that is so good that once you enter the game and are given amnesia, you believe that everything around you is totally real, and you will go to the death believing that it's real, kind of a thing. Yep. So that is a way to look at it without, cheapening the experience, because, things are not always easy down here, et cetera. It's no pleasure cruise. But it's a good way to look at it.
Yes, sometimes why I'm hesitant to use the word game, because some people have got some really real life stuff going on, and it's real. It's not a game to them when you're in that.
It's not.
Exactly, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, it feels like a really weird time to be alive, and 2020 itself, Chris, I mean, it's been off the charts. Maybe that's playing into me reflecting a little deeper on what's going on here. But I think the further we move into this year and beyond, I think the whole nature of reality is going to become a lot more apparent with the work that you're doing, the work that quantum physics, stuff like that's bringing forward. Do you think we're going to have a more accurate picture of the game, so to speak, in the coming years?
Yeah, and I think people will be really surprised when we realize that there's games within games. So let's say we'll just call this the Earth game. Wouldn't you be surprised if you were to find out that you're playing another game, a universal scavenger hunt game, so to speak, that's going on while the Earth game is going? So there's lots of different levels and layers that will seem unbelievable, but if they're true, they're going to reveal themselves one way or another. It can't be held back anymore. There's too much light coming in to us, so to speak. Something I just learned about is the local fluff, which is an interstellar cloud that our solar system has been in for like 100,000 years. And we're getting near exiting the local fluff, which is a very dense area of space. And I believe we've actually just exited it. And you could almost think of the new light that's coming in as like a wave of purity that's going to just wash over the planet and over the whole solar system. So I think things are going to get more and more interesting as this year progresses.
I'm definitely going to have to look into this. And it's the first time I've heard of it, but that makes sense what you're saying. If it's a more dense area of space, dust, whatever, it could be somewhat shielding us from some of the cosmic energies. Is that where you're going with it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
part of it. And it also physically made us exist to be more dense. And now that we've entered a lighter area of space, our frequencies are changing, not just the frequency of the planet. We know from the Schumann resonance and so forth that the frequency of the planet itself is changing, but our frequencies are changing as well. And when that happens, we just get more access to knowledge. It's just going to flow naturally. We start merging more with, I'll call it our higher consciousness, which is, I'll say, way to put it is dreaming us right now. So once we start merging more with our higher consciousness, we're going to get all these epiphanies, aha moments, just things will start to fall into place. Whereas before there's no room for them to even fall into place.
Are we going to be seeing more weirdness from the Mandela in the build up towards then? I mean, I'm hearing about people that are, I don't know how accurate this is, folks, before you all ridicule me and laugh, but there's people even saying, when it comes to personal Mandela effects, Chris, for example, the wallpaper. You go to bed one night, the wallpaper's one thing. You get up the next day and the wallpaper's changed. Now, that seems a bit ridiculous, but there's people put things down, it moves. These personal Mandela effects, do you think everything's going to get a whole lot wilder and weirder before we do get to some level of normality?
Yeah, I mean, as things keep going, I mean, there's constantly new Mandela effects that keep popping up. The personal ones sometimes are the most jarring because it's something that you know to be true for yourself. You
Yeah.
maybe can't convince someone else of it, but you know something to be 100% true for yourself, and all of a sudden it's different. And yeah, it's just going to keep going. And even the people that are the most skeptical, when it's time for them to wake up or they hit their wake up date, whenever that is, this year, next year, whatever, then they'll be like, oh my God, now I get it.
Wow. Now, Chris, you're actually, we talked about you coming on and giving us updates from this conference. Are we still up for that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, if you wanted to, yeah, we could plan a particular day. I know my schedule is, we're doing like the live broadcast here from Connecticut, so we're trying to get everyone's, YouTube live streams, all that kind of coordination going on. But yeah, if you wanted to plan something on one of those days, definitely can give you some updates.
Absolutely, brother. I would love to. I'm going to catch as much of this as I can in between streaming and everything else, but I don't know, there's something about getting your first-hand take on it. And before we kind of start to wrap up, I don't want to keep you too long today because you're obviously getting ready for everything that's going to be upcoming. But while you've been researching this, have you had any problems, any strangeness coming your way? Anyone warned you off it?
Yeah, I mean, there's always I mean, whether it's my clients at my software
I can
business that
imagine
just don't
they're.
get
I
it.
can imagine they're probably the most I don't know, ferocious at trying to get you to put this down, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there is a point where some of them were a little bit like off put by it, but for the most part, that's settled down a lot. But there's always pushback. There's always, the trolls that are out there that are trying to, like, put you down. Or I get a lot of interesting comments, but you have to just let those things roll off you at some point.
Exactly. I think the best way to deal with that kind of activity is just like you said there, just note it and then move on. Don't get too dragged into any of these silly internet arguments. And when it comes to the Mandela effect, I've got my personal ones. The one that still troubles me the most is Black Tom Island. I think that
Uh,
factors in a lot with the stuff that you've been covering with the bad guys from World War II. And
right.
even now, Chris, when I'm watching the History Channel, if I had just arrived here from Mars and had no concept of the wars or anything like that, watching the History Channel now, it's almost like the bad guys might have won. Because, because I don't know how we ever beat them. Because their arrows seem to be nudging closer to the UK every documentary I get. They have resounding victory after victory. The Allies had a defeat here, a defeat there. I'm thinking, I wonder if we actually win this on the History Channel when it finally concludes its coverage of World War II. Because there's
Yeah.
something very weird going on there, man.
Yeah, or maybe some kind of a truce was made. One of the things I talk about in my Moon Angel video is about Operation Paperclip, which is where all these Nazi scientists, rocket engineers, a lot of them were convicted of war crimes. Were adapted into NASA in 1958 into the U.S. space program. So maybe World War II didn't end the way we were told. Maybe that's why we still have daylight savings, at least here in the United States. It's one of those indicators. It was a wartime thing that the war is still going on a certain level. And again, these types of things will be revealed if they're true or not. But there's a lot of wisdom in what you just said.
Wow. Dang, dude. Phew, what do you say after that? I'm telling you, that's quite some heavy stuff. But I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat room. Want to thank you all for being here. Winslow actually had no idea about this conference being on, Chris. So how about you tell people how they can tune in again before we let people head back to their day? I've got the website up here for people to see. I'll bring it onto the screen right now. There we go there. We've got Regina on the screen, and this is the International Mandela Effect Conference. It's IMEC.world. I'll put that in the chat room right now.
Yes.
But how can
Yes.
people get into that again, Chris?
Yeah, if right on the IMEC.world site, there'll be a link right there. Click here to go into the YouTube live stream. And every day it's going to be a different, we'll update it internally, but it'll be a different link depending on the day. And they just click on that link and watch.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. It couldn't be easier, and I'll certainly be spreading the link for that around over on Discord. I'll put it on Twitter. I will also put it over onto the Faceborg. I don't really play about much on Faceborg anymore, but I was going to say to you there when you were talking about Project Paperclip, it slipped my mind quickly, but I think it's worth going back to. You mentioned how maybe the war didn't finish the way that some people think, and I totally agree with you. And the minute I found out about Project Paperclip, it kind of made a few things make sense for me. And I suppose the war that people were told about, the fighting in Europe, on one hand you could look, yes, the Allies won that. But the ideology that was really behind the Nazis and the minds, some of those great scientists, with them all moving between the US and to Russia, they might have lost the war, but they certainly were well placed when it came to the peace that was after it. And during World War II, I don't know how much you've looked into this, Chris, but it might be relevant. Do you think the Nazis themselves were aware of something to do with the nature of reality. And the only reason I ask that is because the Nazi Bell experiment, it's very vague. There's a lot of theories about it. But when you're spinning mercury and stuff like that, I don't know, it's almost as if there's part of me wants to think that they themselves were aware of timelines or the holographic reality and were trying to play about with it. I know it sounds very the man in the high castle, but what do you think? Do you think there could be something to that?
I think you could be onto something there, Kev. Absolutely. There's when you start looking at all of the evidence, including odd things like so many missing submarines out of the German fleet that were never recovered. At least 100 submarines that we knew existed that no one knows where they are. There's all the talk about what happened in Argentina and Antarctica. There's also the whole concept of the secret space program and what that is all about. The Nazis had anti-gravity technology, in the 30s that they were able to channel through people that were in connection to extraterrestrials, so to speak. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and as for most people, it just sounds like total nonsense. But guess what? If our reality works the way it appears that it works, that there's a holographic nature to it, that there are timelines that are involved, that timelines can be edited, almost like a video can be edited, so to speak, then all of these things start to make sense, especially if the Nazis decided to side with what's called the global narrative or domination and control. And to keep perceptions alive, like the only way to get into outer space is with rocket engines. Like, of course, they're exploding all the time, but like keeping things going that are misperceptions, like, oh, anti-gravity technology that doesn't exist. You have to get there with a rocket, added with all this explosive fuel, so to speak. So yeah, when you look at things step by step and break it down piece by piece, what seems to be the most far-fetched thing actually becomes the most realistic thing.
Yeah,
so
I'm with you there. And I don't know, 2020, again, it could be just because we're in the midst of a crazy year, but it feels almost very, very significant, almost like a nexus point. I don't really know the inner workings of the timelines, the holographic nature of reality, how it all works, but right now, and they've said themselves at the World Economic Forum, Chris, and I think it's good we pay attention to what they're saying there. But they call this a very narrow window of opportunity to get the Great Reset and take us into this, for lack of a better term, a new world. Would that almost be akin to switching a timeline?
Might be akin to like a lot of timelines collapsing and merging, might be like another way to look at it.
Okay.
And I think there's been a lot of that going on. A lot of timelines have been collapsed and merged, and we're getting more of a clear direction.
Brother, I am absolutely stoked that you've been able to spend a bit of time to come on today. The video freezing, listen, we can deal with that. At least you were in a nice pose. You've got a nice smile on your face. You look very cool. But I'm looking forward to hearing what not only yourself and your new video has to say, but what comes out of the conference as well. Because I think the more information that we can pull together, and then all talk about it and try to make sense of what's really going on, try and narrow down the specifics of what's happening here. I think something like the International Mandela Effects Conference and the work you're doing, Chris, it can only take us forward. And on behalf of everyone, man, keep at it. We're all really benefiting from some of the content that you're putting out there right now. And I just want to thank you on a personal kind of a basis because, like I've said umpteen times, I love watching what you're uncovering. And it doesn't mean I'm just going to automatically be in the cult of Chris. I'm not always going to agree with you. If there's ever a time that maybe, I slightly differ, I'll tell you. But that's okay because we're both real guys, and disagreement doesn't need to be the end of a relationship. But so far, I am 100% on board, brother. So let people know where they can find your work one last time for the Mandela Conference, and I will let you get back to your business.
Yeah, you can go to imec.world, which is IMEC.world. It stands for International Mandela Effect Conference. And also quantumbusinessman.com is my website, which I hope to enhance soon. I haven't had much time for that, but I'm going to be focusing on a direction for that as well. Which will be interesting, but my main goal is always talking about Mandela effects and helping raise the consciousness.
And I think you are going a long way to informing people about Mandela and raising the consciousness. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure. Now, before I wrap up the stream today, let me just let everyone know there'll be Freaky Friday later on today over on KBS2. Now, for some people here, you might be thinking Kev hasn't uploaded in so long. Well, no, we've been working on the backup channel. We've been kind of flying under the radar over there. We've been getting into some really cool stuff. But today, on Freaky Friday, I'll be speaking to Scott Lopez, and I will definitely be bringing up the Mandela Effect to kick off the show. So join us from midnight in the UK at 7 p.m. on the East Coast. That's 4 p.m. on the West Coast. And it'll be me, Scotty Lopez, and who else? Well, you'll just have to wait and see. Chris, thank you very much, and good luck with the conference, brother.
Thank you very much, Kev. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and talk to your listeners about it. Thank you.
Anytime, man. I am honoured to have you on here, Chris. I really am. I'll have a quick word with you when we get wrapped up here, but I'm going to shove on the tunes. And folks, you know what's coming next. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.